So about a month and a half ago, James Gunn and Peter Safran basically laid out what they were going to be doing for the new DC universe and how they're going to be approaching both movies and TV shows and cartoons and video games. And they're going to try and put them all under one umbrella. And whatever projects that were still being worked on that are still able to be released, they were going to end up making them Elseworld. And I intended to talk about it around that point. But there was, like, except for exactly what was coming out of it, was just basically like, okay, here's what the projects are going to be. And then a lot of people were asking whether or not, hey, what's the deal with Superman? Because the biggest, pivot point with all of this, with the DC, EU ending and the new DC universe beginning, is Superman. Because a lot of people really loved Henry Cavill. Whether or not you liked Man of Steel, I know some people really loved Man of Steel. Some people really didn't like Man of Steel, and for myself, I was somewhere in the middle. But I saw Henry Cavill as being like, for all it's worth, he was a really good Superman. And the thing is that the rest of the DCEU was basically a mess, and nothing seemed to meld together. But the problem is that with all of those heroes that are out there, are they going to be closer to the source material and give us all of those heroes together in a way that makes DC fans happy while giving us aspirational heroes and good stories and good escape entertainment? I'm somewhere in the middle with it. Let's take a look at this. Here, right from Variety, new DC Universe unveils first 10 projects: Superman Legacy in 2025, Batman and Robin movie, Green Lantern series, Wonder Woman prequel, and more. And for a lot of it, some of it is like unknown names to a lot of households, and some of it is some of the stuff that you'd expect, especially because DC is really centered around Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and you really can't have the DC universe exist without them. I mean, they've tried, right? They had the Arrowverse, and they basically, Batman existed, Superman existed, but it was like kind of like a far off thing, right? It tried to work, and it kind of fell apart at the seams as they were trying to add more and more stuff to it. And then, of course, the Arrowverse just took a nosedive in storytelling that just made everything like miserable, so to speak. But the thing is, I want to see Superman have the same impact that the 1978 movie did. Now, if you've never seen the 1978 Superman movie, one of the taglines was, "You'll believe that a man can fly." And, for what they pulled off is that they were able to make you believe that Superman could not only fly, that he was an aspirational hero. The only thing he was really lacking was a supervillain to face off, which is what Superman 2 ended up being. Both cuts. Having him being able to face off against a villain is important. And you have to have that balance between both. He has to be that aspirational hero, and then he also has to have the villains to face off against with. Because if you don't bring some of the villains in, then really what you just have is like, it's not much that you can really do without the rogues gallery. Batman has always had the colorful rogues gallery brought into play whenever it comes down to him, but other heroes always seem to like play second fiddle with their villains. Even Marvel, for all it's worth, you've had like how many years that Marvel has had, all of these movies, and the villains really never got like the attention that they deserve. They almost like, they wanted to prop up the hero, but they couldn't make that hero face off against a worthy opponent. A lot of times you ended up with these weaker villains, or not as memorable villains, so to speak, the way that they brought them across, because there are so many stories that they could have done, and they just had a lot of missed opportunities. Anyway, taking a look at this, Peter Safran and James Gunn are officially starting the newly created DC studios, with Warner Brothers Discovery and co-chiefs have announced the first 10 film and TV titles within the rebooted DC universe. Chapter 1 is going to be Gods and Monsters, And for those of you who have like already paid attention to this, already like know what's going on, I want to get into the big thing. The big project, of course, is Superman Legacy, a Batman and Robin movie, a Wonder Woman prequel, and a Green Lantern mystery series, and a bunch of other stuff too. But I wanted to really like hone in on this because like not everybody has been paying attention to all of it. But on top of that is my hopes for for all of this when it comes down to Superman and for the DC universe, because I'm of the middle of the road kind of guy when it comes down to this particular universe and whether or not I think that it could be good. Because modern day Hollywood has been really churning out a lot of crap. Let's just be real. They're constantly rebooting franchises. They're constantly hitting the reset button. They can never seem to have a continual universe. And then if they do have a continual universe, they reach a point in their storytelling where they just drop the ball. And Marvel Phase 4 was really drop the ball. And I don't want to see them do that with with the DC universe. But I also don't want to see, I mean, the other thing is that Hollywood seems to be churning out a lot of crap. Really, like the storytelling is awful. They're completely altering the characters from their own source material, and to the point where like you don't even recognize them. Like if I don't I honestly believe in what I call the squint test. If I can't see the character, on screen, then I don't see the character. Like that's just the way that I look at it. Like they have to pass that squint test in a sense that, I want to see Superman wearing his Superman costume, right? I want to see Batman dressed as Batman. I don't want to see, the same thing when it comes down to, like, why do you think that so many older Transformers fans complained about the live action films? Is because they don't see those superheroes, or those Transformers on screen that they expect. I'm not getting into Transformers too much, but, here I want to actually focus in on this. But what we already know now is that Superman Legacy will open July 11th, 2025, and it will be the start of the DCU. As Safran put it, it will not be an origin story to the proverbial Man of Steel. It focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing, and is the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way. He is kindness in a world that thinks kindness is as old-fashioned. And what we also know is that James Gunn is going to direct Superman Legacy. Now, that was the question that a lot of people were asking. This actually came out 2 days ago that, because today is March 17th. 2 days ago, James Gunn announced that he was going to be the one who was going to be directing Superman Legacy. And I think that the reason why he wants to make sure that he takes the reins on this is because he wants to ensure that the vision that he wants to bring forth will be good. Do I think it will be good? Based on the synopsis, I would go, yeah, this sounds great. Exactly what I wanted to see. Like, guided by human kindness in a world that seems kindness is old-fashioned. Superman is supposed to be aspirational. We are supposed to look at Superman and go, hey, I can't be perfect. I can't be but I can try to be some of the qualities that Superman is. I can look at what the qualities of Superman are and try to emulate that, so to speak. I could try to be to do the right thing, not to take from other people, not steal, not covet what other people have, not sleep around, so to speak. And I'm using some basic moral standards there, but that's the thing. Like, not just kindness, but there is a sense of like right and wrong that Superman believes in, a moral code. And that even goes as far back even before Superman, when you had pulp stories like, The Spirit, and there was a lot of pulp stories back in the 1920s and the early 1930s that people were reading before Superman and Batman even hit the scene. That was the same engine that they used, for Superman and for Batman. So to have a hero continue with that today in a world where everything is morally gray, and in the real world, everything is gray. Stop that. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of storytelling that takes the aspirational hero and removes everything that makes that hero who they are. The deconstruction era needs to end. Like, that's where we need to go with Superman. And if they can go in that direction and actually give us a really good Superman movie, and even like continue on from there, yeah, I'll be all in for that. You know, as long as like the hero remains true to the source material, that they truly take what is right about this character and all of his supporting cast and do them all justice. And then you bring in all the other heroes. You look at the next thing that they're doing is the Authority. From global fame to obscurity, Superman Legacy will lead directly into the Authority, an ensemble movie about superhumans who have less than idealistic approach to saving the world. And this is great. It's a contrast. You can have a completely different type of group of heroes be that morally gray. The Authority can be that. Superman needs to be aspirational. The Authority can be, little ups and downs when it comes down to it. You can do what, let's say Guardians of the Galaxy was to that group of superheroes. Nobody really knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were before James Gunn took the helm and actually brought that. I don't necessarily want that kind of humor in it, like the type of humor that James Gunn usually brings in his movies, but I do want to see a group of superheroes that is different than Superman while Superman remains constant. You're allowed to bring in new characters. You're allowed to bring in a completely different cast to something and allow them to rise up to be different. Like that's the whole idea, right? That's something that you don't really see in superheroes much anymore, is that like you always have to change the existing ones. You have to make Batman has to be more gray than he has been. Superman has to be more gray. No. Like, let them be the pinnacle. Let the other characters in the supporting cast have something to rise them up. And yeah, they already had a comic book apparently with them from 1992. So now they're bringing them into this new DC universe. I welcome that. Whether or not it'll be good, that's completely up to the eye of the beholder. Same thing with Batman Brave and the Bold. So they're going to be doing their own version of Batman. What they've literally stated here is that there's going to be 2 Batman movies. The first Batman movie is going to be the sequel to the Matt Reeves film, and that will be an Elseworlds tale. So it will not be within the same universe. So instead, what they're going to do is they're going to bring in Batman Brave and the Bold, which will be within the new DC universe, and we'll have Damian Wayne as Robin. The question I have is that are they going to acknowledge what came before? This is where you have to take into consideration being true to the source material. There are 3 Robins before, or at least 3 to 4 Robins before Damian Wayne. And you have to acknowledge that those other characters exist and their backstories existed. So where does this Batman, take place? Damian is Bruce Wayne's biological son, a fact unknown to Wayne for the first 8 to 10 years of Damian's life. It's a very strange sort of father-son story about the 2 of them. The project is based on the run of Batman comics authored by Grant Morrison, who Gunn said was exceptionally influential to the DCU. So this is where they want to take the Brave and the Bold, and they actually bring in Damian Wayne. And I'm okay with that, because a lot of people do like Damian Wayne, and some people were upset that they killed off the character. But where does the rest of the Bat family exist? Where's Batgirl? Where's Dick Grayson? Where's Jason Todd? Where's Tim Drake? And to another degree, where's Stephanie? I believe her name is Stephanie Brown, right? She was the 4th Robin. And I believe there were other people who have been told to have the title as well. Where are those other characters? Then you have Supergirl. And what they're going to do with Supergirl is based on Tom King's run of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which is a more recent story, which means that Supergirl is going to be literally going to be John Wick meets Supergirl, not on Earth. So she's going to be off-world doing something. It's almost going to be like, in a way, like Planet Hulk meets Supergirl. And I wonder if that's going to be good storytelling-wise in a movie. And we'll see, because I don't want them to ruin the character. I've heard mixed reviews of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, that people either loved it or they hated it. And so you have to take that into consideration when you make a movie that's supposed to appeal to mass audiences. Now, Swamp Thing is an interesting one, because I never expected them to actually make a movie about Swamp Thing in 2023, considering all of his, craziness that he's had happened to him. And if you remember back in the 80s, I think the 80s had a movie, and then there was a TV series and everything. How they'll actually be able to do Swamp Thing, I'm curious about. Now, for television, what they're going to do is they're going to go into areas where you're going to bring in other characters to allow them to exist into the DC universe, and then eventually they're going to make movies with those characters coexisting alongside the Superman, the Batman, and everything else like that. So you have Creature Commandos, which is going to have your back in the day story, and that kind of sounds cool. Then you have Waller, and does this is where a lot of people were questioning whether or not this is like they're going to include some movies that do exist currently in the DCEU, like the Suicide Squad, like Shazam. Are those characters going to exist here in this new DC universe, or because they're using the same actress for Waller as Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad? So we'll see where they go with that. Lanterns is one that I'm actually very excited about, and I'll tell you why. I have wanted to see a storyline that had both Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Both of them can be Green Lanterns at the same time. And I know that is, to some people, could be sacrilegious, but I know to some people, in more modern day, I believe they both have rings currently right now. So having them both have rings, have them be able to explore the world of the Green Lantern and bring the Green Lantern characters, because it's an entire, ensemble cast that they can do if they wanted to. Will you give respect to Hal Jordan, and will you give respect to Jon Stewart? Both of them have a place, and both of them should be the heroes that we expect them to be. So I'm just going to say that with Lanterns, I'm excited about it, but I'm also at the same time cautiously optimistic. And that's how I am with pretty much all of this. Paradise Lost. We're going to have a Wonder Woman prequel story that's going to take place earlier, and I'm guessing it's going to actually be the origin story of Themyscira and the birth of Princess Diana. And I'm guessing it's going to lead into a new Wonder Woman movie. We'll see where they go with that. Booster Gold is interesting. I'll admit, the idea behind Booster Gold, I've never been a big a big fan of him myself. So let's see where they go with it. That's all I'm going to say about that. And with that, there has been a lot more storytelling right now, but where are we right now? So Shazam just came out. I have not gotten a chance to see it. I'm hoping that it's good. I've heard mixed reviews about it. And The Flash is currently right now in a place where I don't know if I want to see it. The Super Bowl trailer made it look really good. Having Michael Keaton as Batman again. Having Ben Affleck, giving us basically what is his final role as Batman as well, here in order to give us The Flash and end Zack Snyder's whole universe that he created starting with Man of Steel. That is the purpose of this new Flash movie. It's supposed to be the end cap. It was they knew they had to bring the movie to fruition, and there might have been something in the contract that stated that they had to release this movie, that they had to complete it. And I think that James Gunn looks at it and goes, let's bring these final projects to light, the ones that we can do, and then actually do work, and will still make money, because they believe that The Flash will make money. And he also believes in the movie. I say I would rather wait till it comes out, and for me to be able to see it later, than, waste my time with it. Because I already know that they're going with a new direction. And when you already know that a story is going to end and they're going to start with a new direction, it almost makes you not want to see the ending, but maybe it does make you want to see the ending. I'm on the fence about this. I really want to know what you guys think about all this, because there are some people who really truly believe that these two people, James Gunn and Peter Safran, can actually do exactly what this says, fix the once messed up DC studios. Can they fix it? Or do you honestly think, with James Gunn directing Superman Legacy, without Henry Cavill, all the mess with Ezra Miller, do you honestly think that it's still in disarray? Or do you think that it's actually, there is some hope for it after all? Of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to thumbs up this video and subscribe. Check out my other videos as well. I have much more coming down the pipeline for this channel as well as my main channel, so stay tuned for all of that. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.